In 1985, a desert city with no aviation history, no aircraft, and no pilots decided to build an airline. They had $10 million. They had 2 leased planes, and they had one ambition: to connect Dubai to the entire world. Today, that airline is Emirates. It operates the world's largest fleet of the biggest passenger jet ever made. It connects over 150 cities across 6 continents, and it generates revenues that dwarf national economies. But this isn't a story about planes. This is a story about how a city used an airline as a weapon of nation building, economic domination, and global influence. And by the time this video ends, you will understand why what Emirates built cannot be copied. Not by any airline, not by any country. Because what they built isn't just a business, it is a machine. If you are new here, this channel breaks down how the world's biggest companies rise and conquer. Subscribe and hit like before we dive in. Let's go. October 1985. Dubai is not the city you know today. There are no 7-star hotels, no artificial islands, no futuristic skyline. Dubai is a Gulf emirate with big ambitions, modest infrastructure, and a ruler who thinks about the future in decades, not years. And then something happens that forces his hand. Gulf Air, at that time the dominant carrier of the entire Middle East, makes a cold calculation. It is the flag carrier of 4 states: Oman, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, and Bahrain. It is flying into Dubai, bringing passengers, keeping the city connected. But Gulf Air's executives look at the numbers and deliver a verdict: Dubai isn't profitable enough. We are feeding transit passengers to other airlines, not to ourselves. So Gulf Air pulls its services back from Dubai. For Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, this is not a business problem. This is an existential threat. Dubai's entire vision, becoming a global trade and tourism hub, depends on air connectivity. Without routes, there is no commerce. Without commerce, there is no future. He makes the call. If no one will connect Dubai to the world, we will do it ourselves. Within months, Emirates is incorporated. With just $10 million in startup capital from the Dubai government, capital it would repay within a single year. The airline launches on October 25, 1985. 2 leased aircraft from Pakistan International Airways, Pakistani pilots and crew operating the planes, and 1 first flight, Dubai to Karachi. Flight EK-600, the beginning of everything. That first year, Emirates carried over 260,000 passengers. It turned a profit, and while its main regional rival Gulf Air saw profits fall by over 30%, the new airline born in the desert was growing. The airline that was born out of abandonment had just sent its first message to the world. Here is a question that every airline strategist eventually asks. If you were going to build the most powerful hub airline on Earth, where would you put it? You would need a city positioned equidistant between the major population centers of the world. A city with no severe winter that grounds aircraft. A city with airspace that gives you room to grow. A city whose government will build you the infrastructure you need. You would build it in Dubai. Dubai sits at what aviation geographers call a golden circle. From Dubai International Airport, a 7-hour flight covers roughly 2/3 of the entire world's population. London to the west, 7 hours. Singapore to the east, 7 hours. Nairobi to the south, 4 hours. Mumbai, 3 hours. No other major city on Earth has this combination. Not London, not Singapore, not New York. And the man who understood this before almost anyone else was a young British aviation strategist named Tim Clark, who joined Emirates in its earliest days as head of airline planning. Clark didn't just draw routes on a map. He designed an entirely new logic of global aviation. Forget the old model where every passenger flies through London or Frankfurt first. in the Emirates model. A passenger from Lagos connects in Dubai. A passenger from Melbourne connects in Dubai. A passenger from Sao Paulo, Dubai. Dubai becomes the center of the world. By 1990, Emirates was flying to Southeast Asia. By 1996, Australia, with a stop in Singapore. Quickly, one of the airline's most successful routes. By the early 2000s, it was launching into the United States, challenging legacy carriers on their most lucrative international routes. Geography had handed Emirates its opening. What it built on top of that geography is what made it truly unstoppable. Here is the part of the Emirates story that most people miss entirely. Emirates was never designed just to generate airline revenues. Emirates was designed to build Dubai. Every single seat filled on an Emirates flight is a seat that passes through Dubai International Airport. Every passenger who transits Dubai sees Dubai. Its duty-free, its hotels, its real estate, its skyline. The airline was, from day one, the most powerful marketing instrument a city-state had ever deployed. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum has been explicit about this vision. In his 2006 book, My Vision, he describes Dubai's strategy as a race against time. To diversify before the oil runs out, to build a knowledge economy, a tourism economy, a logistics economy. Emirates is not merely an airline in this vision, it is the engine. The numbers tell the story. Dubai International Airport is today the world's busiest airport for international passenger traffic, a title it has held for over a decade, according to Airports Council International. The aviation sector, including Emirates and its related businesses, contributes an estimated 27% to Dubai's total GDP. No European city-state can replicate this. No American carrier has a government willing to stake a national vision on a single airline. Emirates and Dubai are not two separate stories. They are one. Now let's talk about what very few people understand about how Emirates actually operates. Most airlines are assemblers. They buy planes. They hire staff. They lease terminal space. They outsource ground handling to third parties, catering to food companies, engineering to maintenance firms. Emirates builds everything itself. The company that sits behind the airline is called the Emirates Group, and it is, in essence, a complete aviation ecosystem owned by a single entity. Its ground handling arm is called DNATA. Founded in 1959, before Emirates itself, DNATA today operates at over 120 airports across 35 countries. It handles baggage, fueling, and passenger services for dozens of airlines, including Emirates' own competitors. Emirates Flight Catering operates one of the largest airline catering facilities on Earth, right at Dubai International Airport. It produces over 225,000 meals per day. Meals loaded not just onto Emirates flights, but onto flights for over 100 other airlines that pass through Dubai. Emirates Engineering is a world-class maintenance, repair, and overhaul operation that services the airline's own massive fleet entirely in-house. Emirates also runs its own airline training academy, its own travel retail, its own cargo airline, Emirates Sky Cargo, one of the largest dedicated freight carriers in the world. This is not a company with suppliers. This is a company with subsidiaries. When crises hit other airlines, they face dozens of renegotiations with third parties. Emirates turns inward, controls costs, controls quality, and keeps moving. Sir Tim Clark once explained it simply. We decided very early that we wanted to control our own destiny. They were not exaggerating. The year 2000. Airbus is pitching the most ambitious aircraft in aviation history, a double-decker super jumbo, capable of carrying over 500 passengers, the A380. Most airlines are skeptical. Boeing is going the opposite direction. Smaller, more efficient planes flying point to point without hubs. The era of the mega hub might be ending, analysts say. Emirates bets everything on the other side. In 2000, Emirates places its first A380 order. Over the next 13 years, it places 6 separate orders. By the end, Emirates has committed to 123 Super Jumbos, more than half of all A380s Airbus would ever deliver. Going to one airline, the logic is deliberate. Emirates' hub model demands massive capacity at the world's most congested airports: London Heathrow, JFK New York, Singapore Changi, where slot restrictions make it impossible to simply add more flights. The only answer is bigger aircraft. The A380 is the perfect instrument. The results are spectacular. Emirates A380 routes become aviation landmarks. Dubai to London, Dubai to New York, Dubai to Sydney. These are not just flights, they are experiences. First-class private suites with closing doors, an onboard bar at the back of the upper deck, showers at 40,000 feet, 2 showers on an airplane. The A380 becomes a flying billboard for everything Emirates stands for: premium, global, untouchable. Then in 2019, Emirates cancels 39 outstanding A380 orders. Airbus goes quiet for a few weeks. Then comes the announcement. Without Emirates backing, continued production of the A380 is no longer viable. The program, representing the most expensive commercial aircraft development in aviation history, is ending. Emirates had not just been the A380's biggest customer, it had been the program's reason for existing. And when Emirates walked away, the aircraft died with it. 2015. 3 of the largest airlines in the world file a coordinated complaint with the United States government. Delta, American, and United Airlines accuse Emirates, Qatar Airways, and Etihad of receiving over $50 billion in illegal state subsidies, in violation of open skies agreements that govern international aviation rights. They allege below-market fuel contracts, interest-free government loans, and state bailouts. They argue Gulf carriers are using government money to undercut American airlines on international routes out of the United States. It is the most aggressive assault on Gulf aviation ever mounted. Emirates fires back. It publishes detailed financial statements. It commissions independent audits. It points, with considerable precision, to the billions in bankruptcy protections, post-9/11 government emergency relief, and pension fund bailouts received by the very same U.S. carriers making the complaint. The legal and political battle runs for years. It produces no definitive ruling. No Gulf carrier is formally found in violation. But step back and read what actually happened. The largest airlines in the world's most powerful aviation market, carriers with decades of history, vast political connections, and the full backing of the U.S. government, looked at an airline from a desert city founded just 30 years earlier and declared it an existential threat. When Delta Airlines and American Airlines say you are destroying them, you have already won. In its financial year 2022 to 2023, Emirates reported revenues of over $32 billion, a record, its highest in history. This was the recovery year after COVID-19 effectively grounded global aviation for 2 consecutive years. While other airlines were taking emergency government bailouts and permanently retiring fleets, Emirates absorbed the shock. It used the grounding to refurbish premium cabins, retrain crew, develop its new premium economy product, take delivery of new aircraft, and when the world reopened, it came back harder than before. As it looks ahead, the machine is already retooling for the next generation. New Boeing 777X aircraft, 50 Airbus A350s, a completely refurbished first-class suite, expanding aggressively across Africa and South Asia. Markets still dramatically underserved. But here is the real answer to why Emirates is unbeatable. It is not the planes, not the hub, not the catering or the engineering. It is the total system, the alignment between an airline and a city-state that shares exactly the same goal. The geography no competitor can change. The long-term thinking that comes from a government that measures success in generations, not quarterly earnings calls. In an industry where legacy carriers have filed for bankruptcy multiple times, Emirates has never required external financial rescue. In an industry where alliances are survival tools, Emirates built its own global network and never needed one. In an industry where geography is fixed, Emirates was wise enough to choose its geography before anyone understood how powerful it would become. That is not luck. That is strategy, executed at a civilizational scale.